The stars above Ayora were peaceful, glowing softly like tiny lanterns. But tonight, peace was shattered. Princess Soraya Velthani sat inside a small escape pod, heart pounding. Her world, the beautiful green planet Ayora, was under attack. The Traskon Dominion, a ruthless, warlike empire, had come without warning. Ships had fallen from the sky, firing on cities, capturing people, and destroying everything in their path. Soraya had barely escaped with her life. She had been on a diplomatic mission, flying in a royal cruiser with guards and advisors. Now all of them were gone. The last thing she remembered was a loud explosion and the sound of her bodyguard yelling for her to run. Then, fire. Now, silence. Alone in the pod, Soraya held her breath. Her silver skin trembled. She looked out, through the small window. A broken moon loomed ahead. It was rocky, covered in canyons and storms. The pod was falling fast. "I don't want to die here," she whispered in her language. But in space, someone was listening. Far across the quadrant, aboard the human exploration ship Horizon's Reach, Captain Elias Mercer stood at the command deck. His ship was scanning nearby systems when the emergency signal came through. It was weak, almost broken, but he caught enough to understand. Someone needed help. "Origin?" Elias asked, his voice calm. His communications officer, Riley, checked the screen. "Unknown code. Doesn't match any known human or allied species, but it's real. Looks like an escape pod heading toward Moon Theta 9. Elias frowned. "That moon is unstable. Too dangerous for landing." "But sir," Riley added, "the pod will crash within minutes. If we don't go now, whoever's in there won't survive." The room was quiet. The right decision, according to the rules, was to report the signal and stay out of it. Earth's orders were clear. Observe, don't interfere. But Elias was not a man who turned away from someone in danger. "Set course," he said firmly. "We're going in." The Horizon's Reach moved fast. Through clouds of space dust and gravity fields, it reached the moon just in time. The pod had crashed between sharp cliffs. Heat and smoke rose into the air. Elias took a shuttle and landed near the wreck. The ground shook slightly as he stepped out in his suit. He moved carefully, using his scanner to locate life signs. Then, he saw her. Inside the broken pod lay a young alien girl, her skin silver, her hair glowing with a faint blue light. She wore armor, now cracked and stained. Blood, or something, like it, ran down her arm. She looked fragile, like a glass statue. Elias approached slowly. He spoke gently. "Hey, can you hear me? I'm here to help." Soraya opened her eyes, dazed. She didn't understand the words, but she felt something in his voice. Calm, steady, safe. She reached out weakly. Elias took her hand. "I've got you," he said. He carried her to the shuttle. She was light, and her breathing was shallow. Her skin was cool to the touch. Back on the Horizon's Reach, the medical team rushed to help. They began scans and gave her fluids to keep her alive. "Who is she?" Riley asked. Elias looked at the alien girl, still unconscious. "I don't know, but she was running from something. We need to find out what, and fast." In her dreams, Soraya saw fire, her city burning, her mother shouting orders. Then, she saw a strange face, soft eyes, brown hair, and a warm voice. A human. She had been taught that humans were simple creatures, curious, emotional, sometimes reckless. But in her final moment, when all hope seemed lost, it was one of them who had come for her. Not to hurt, not to question, but to save. Even though they couldn't speak the same language, she had felt something deep in that moment, a strange sense of trust. She slept quietly now, her body healing, but her heart had already begun to change. High above, the stars continued to shine, but the storm was not over. The Traskon Dominion had seen the human ship, and they were coming. Princess Soraya slowly opened her eyes. The lights above her were soft, white and unfamiliar. She was no longer in the escape pod. A gentle hum filled the air, and the bed beneath her was warm and smooth. She tried to sit up, but her body was weak. As she moved, a door slid open, and a human stepped in. It was him. The same human who had pulled her from the wreck. The one with strong arms and kind eyes. Captain Elias Mercer smiled gently. "You're awake. That's good." Soraya blinked. She didn't understand his words, but his tone was calm. He wasn't like the other species she had met before. He didn't show fear or hate, just quiet strength. Elias picked up a small device and placed it near her neck. "Translator chip. It's basic, but it should help." Soraya flinched but didn't move away. The chip clicked into place. "Can you understand me now?" Elias asked. She waited a few seconds. Then, slowly, she replied, "Yes. A little." Elias gave a small nod. "Good. You're safe now. You're on my ship, Horizon's Reach. I'm Captain Elias Mercer." "Soraya," she said softly. "I am Soraya Velthani, of Iora." The name meant little to Elias, but he saw pride in her voice. She was someone important. "You were in a crash," he explained. "We picked up your signal. You were lucky we found you in time." "Lucky," she repeated. "Or fated." Over the next few days, Soraya recovered. In the ship's medbay, the crew gave her food, water, and care. At first she stayed quiet, watching everyone closely. She had grown up among nobles and warriors, but these humans were different, open, honest, and full of questions. One young crew member, Mira, showed Soraya how to use the food replicator. "You just press here and tell it what you want," she said, smiling. Soraya tried it. "Warm honey bread." The machine buzzed and the sweet bread appeared on a tray. Her eyes widened in wonder. She turned to Mira. "Your people, they create food from air?" Mira laughed. "Not air, really, but close enough." Soraya smiled. For the first time in days. Meanwhile, Elias was in the command room with his officers. "She's royalty," Riley said, reading through translated files from the pod. "Her name shows up on a few diplomatic lists. The Aeorians are peaceful but advanced. We've had no real contact with them before." "She was running from something," Elias said, looking out at the stars. "And I think I know what." A warning light blinked on the screen. An unknown ship had entered the system. "Trascon," Riley whispered. "They followed her." Elias clenched his jaw. "Shut down all signals. Go dark. We don't want them knowing we're here." "But what if they already do?" Mira asked. "If they find us, then we fight," Elias said, calm and steady. "But we won't hand her over." That night, Soraya stood near the viewing window looking at the stars. Elias approached her quietly. "You should be resting," he said. "I could not sleep," she replied. They stood in silence for a moment. "Why did you help me?" she asked suddenly. Elias looked at her. "Because you needed help." "No one helps without reason," she said. "Not in the galaxy, I know." "I'm human," Elias said. "We don't always follow rules. Sometimes we just do what's right." She looked at him, surprised by the answer. "Your people are strange." "Yeah," he said with a small smile. "We get that a lot." A loud alarm suddenly echoed through the ship. "Captain, to the bridge," a voice called. Elias ran, with Soraya close behind. On the screen, a Trascon ship hovered nearby. Sharp, dark, and deadly. A message came through. "This is Commander Drek of the Trascon Dominion. You have something? That belongs to us. Hand over the Aeorian or be destroyed." Soraya froze. "They found me." Elias stood tall. "This is a peaceful exploration ship. We have no quarrel with you, but we don't give up innocent lives." Drek sneered. "You protect her, you die with her." The screen went dark. "Shields up," Elias ordered. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Soraya touched his arm. You don't have to do this, they will kill you. He looked into her glowing eyes. I don't leave people behind, he said, and in that, the Trascon ship stayed close, its weapons armed. It circled Horizon's reach like a hawk ready to strike. Inside the human ship, tension filled the air. Every crew member was at their station, waiting for the captain's next order. The calm lights of the ship now glowed red, a sign that danger was near. Soraya stood beside Elias on the bridge. Her silver skin shimmered under the emergency lights. She looked worried, but her voice was steady. They won't stop, she said softly. They hunt those who run. If you don't give me to them, they'll attack again. Elias didn't look away from the screen. Then we make sure they regret it. A soft alarm beeped. Riley, the communication officer, leaned forward. Captain, the Trascon ship is locking weapons. Evasive maneuvers. Now, Elias shouted. The Horizon's reach jolted as the ship spun hard to the left. A bolt of red plasma flew past, missing them by inches. The Trascon had fired the first shot. Return fire, Elias said. Just enough to slow them down. We're not here to start a war, but we will survive. Soraya held onto the rail as the ship shook. She watched as humans, a species her people once saw as primitive, moved with skill and courage. They worked as one, fast, focused, brave. It amazed her. Minutes passed like hours. The battle was quick but intense. The Horizon's reach was smaller but more agile. It slipped through space, dodging fire and shooting back with precision. Finally, Riley gave a breath of relief. They're retreating. We hit one of their engines. The crew cheered, but Elias stayed calm. They'll return, he said, and next time with more ships. He turned to Soraya. We need to know everything. Who are they? Why are they chasing you? Soraya looked down. I am the last royal of Aora. My mother, the matriarch, was killed during the invasion. The Trascon took our cities, our sky, everything. Elias listened closely. I escaped, she continued. But they saw me leave. If I live, the people still have hope. That's why they hunt me. They want to end our story. Elias nodded. Then we protect that story. Later that evening, the ship returned to quiet. For now, they were safe. Elias found Soraya sitting alone in the observation deck, watching the stars pass by. He walked in slowly. Couldn't sleep? She shook her head. Too many thoughts. He sat beside her. I keep wondering, she said. Why you care? You don't know me. You don't even know my people. Elias thought for a moment. I know enough, he said. I know you're someone who lost your home. I know you're being hunted for something you didn't do. And I know you didn't give up, even when you had every reason to. Soraya turned her head, eyes shining. Your people, you, are not like others in the galaxy. He smiled. Humans are strange, remember? She laughed, a soft musical sound that surprised even herself. The next day, Elias gathered his crew in the command room. We have a choice, he said. We can keep running, or we help Soraya reach her people. But how? Riley asked. Her planet is under Trascon control. There are hidden colonies, Soraya said. Safe places. If I can reach them, I can lead them. We can fight back. Elias looked at his crew. This isn't our war, he said. But sometimes, the right thing isn't about orders. It's about what we choose to stand for. One by one, the crew agreed. They would help. That night, Soraya stood in front of a mirror in the ship's medbay. Her wounds had healed. Her strength was returning. She stared at her reflection, not as a princess but as a survivor. The door opened behind her. You look better, Elias said. Soraya turned. I feel stronger. She stepped closer. For a moment, neither of them spoke. You saved me, she whispered. And now, you fight for my people. Elias looked into her eyes. You would have done the same. I don't know, she admitted. But now, I want to. Something soft passed between them. Not spoken, not forced, just real. Two souls from different stars standing together in the silence. For the first time in days, Soraya felt something more than fear. She felt hope. The horizon's reach moved through space quietly, its engines humming low. The stars outside blinked, like tiny eyes watching their journey. Inside the ship, the crew worked with focus and care. They were not just explorers anymore. They had become protectors. Soraya sat in the communication room, staring at the blinking console. Across from her, Riley was adjusting the long-range transmitter. "This is our best chance," Riley said. "If any of your people are still hiding, they'll hear this signal." Soraya nodded. She felt nervous. Her hands were cold. She had spoken to her people many times before as a royal, as a leader. But now she was just one survivor reaching out to a broken world. Riley gave her a soft smile. "You can do this." Soraya took a breath. Then she spoke into the mic. "Any Aeorian who hears this, I am Soraya Velthani, daughter of the matriarch. I am alive." She paused, her voice trembling. Then she continued, stronger. "I escaped the Trascon attack. I was saved by a human ship. I am not alone. And neither are you." Elias listened from the bridge. Her words were simple, but powerful. He could hear the hope in her voice. He could feel the strength behind her pain. "We will rise again," Soraya said. "We will rebuild. We will fight, not with hate, but with honor." She finished the message, and Riley sent it out into space. "It's done," Riley said. "Now we wait." Later that day, Soraya walked through the ship with Elias. The two had grown closer. Each step, each moment brought them nearer. "You speak with strength," Elias said. Soraya looked at him. "I learned from you." They reached the garden bay, a small room where the humans grew plants for food and oxygen. It was quiet and full of life. Green vines climbed the walls. Tiny lights glowed above. Soraya knelt near a flower and touched its petals. "Your people grow beauty, even in metal ships." Elias watched her closely. "We try. Beauty reminds us what we're fighting for." She stood and looked into his eyes. "You've shown me a different side of your kind," she said. "Kindness, courage, peace." Elias shrugged. "We're not perfect, but when it matters and we stand together," she smiled. "That's what makes you strong." That evening, a message came through. "Captain," Riley called from the bridge. We received a reply. "It's Aeorian code." Elias and Soraya rushed in. On the screen, an older Aeorian woman appeared. Her face was worn but proud. "This is General Virel of the Southern Cliffs Colony," she said. "We received your, message, Princess. We are alive, and we are ready." Soraya placed her hand over her heart. "Thank the stars." "We thought all hope was lost," the general continued. "But if you live, then the spirit of Aeora still breathes. We await your return." Elias nodded. "Can we get her there safely?" Riley checked the charts. "It won't be easy. The colony is deep in Trascon territory, but with the right path, we might make it." Soraya looked at Elias. "I must go to them, and I'll get you there," he promised. That night, the crew gathered for dinner. For once, there was laughter in the air. Mira had made sweet treats from the replicator, and even Soraya tried one. "It tastes strange," she said, smiling. "That's chocolate," Mira replied. "Human happiness in a bite," Soraya laughed. "Then your people must be full of joy." Elias sat nearby, quietly watching her. She was not the same girl he had pulled from the escape pod. She had become stronger, brighter, and something about her made his heart feel warmer. After the meal, Soraya and Elias walked through the halls of the ship. "You've given me more than safety," she said softly. "You've given me a reason to hope again." Elias looked at her gently. "You've given me the same." They stopped at the viewing window. Outside, the stars stretched forever. "Do you think our worlds will ever meet in peace?" she asked. "One day, Elias said. And if not, then maybe. We build a new world. Together. She looked at him. For a long moment they said nothing. But their silence was full of meaning. In the distance, however, danger was moving. The Traskon ship they had escaped had returned. And this time it wasn't alone. 3 warships now tracked the horizon's reach. Their leader, Commander Drek, growled, "The girl is alive. The humans protect her. This ends now." He raised his hand. "Prepare for pursuit." The horizon's reach moved at top speed through space, its engines burning bright. The stars outside stretched like white lines. Inside the ship, red warning lights flashed again. "They've found us," Riley said from the command console. 3 Traskon ships, fast and armed. Captain Elias Mercer stood straight, his eyes fixed on the screen. Behind him, Soraya watched quietly. She could feel the danger coming closer with every second. "How long until they reach us?" Elias asked. 10 minutes, maybe less," Mira answered. "They're gaining," Soraya stepped forward. "We cannot outrun them forever." "We're not trying to outrun them," Elias said. "We're trying to reach the nebula." "The silver mist?" Riley asked. "That's a risky move." "It's the only place where their scanners won't work," Elias replied. "We hide there, then head toward the Aeorian colony." Soraya looked at the star map. The nebula was huge, glowing clouds of gas and lightning storms. It was known as a dangerous place for all ships. "Can your ship survive the nebula?" She asked. Elias gave a small smile. "We've flown through worse." The ship rocked as another blast hit their shields. "Damage to the rear engine," Mira said. "Shields holding, but barely." "Divert power from the lights," Elias said. "Put everything into speed and shields." As the ship raced forward, Soraya moved to help. She was not a fighter, but she could think fast. She helped Riley reroute systems and scanned for safer paths through the nebula. Minutes later, the colorful clouds of the silver mist filled their view. Purple and blue swirls danced across the stars. "We're entering now," Elias said. "Hold on." The horizon's reach flew into the mist, and everything outside turned into glowing fog. Inside the Traskon command ship, Commander Drek snarled, "They've gone into the nebula." "Fools." His second-in-command looked worried. "Shall we follow?" Drek bared his sharp teeth. "Of course, but keep shields at full and prepare all weapons." The hunt was not over. Inside the nebula, the horizon's reach flew carefully. The fog made it hard to see. Lightning flashed outside, lighting up the faces of the crew. Each jolt made the ship tremble. "Keep it steady," Elias said. "Watch for energy pockets." Soraya held the side rail, her heart racing. Despite the fear, she felt something else growing inside her. Trust. Even here, in one of the most dangerous parts of space, she believed in Elias. She believed in the crew. Suddenly, the ship shook violently. "Energy surge," Riley shouted. "It's coming from that storm ahead." Elias made a quick decision. "We go around it. Mira, take us lower." The ship dipped, flying under the lightning storm. It was close, too close, but they made it through. Behind them, the Traskon ships entered the nebula. "They're still coming," Mira said. "And closing in fast." Soraya looked at the star map. "Captain, there is a cave inside the nebula, an old mining station. If we can reach it, we might be able to hide." Elias nodded. "Send me the coordinates." The horizon's reach turned sharply and headed toward the cave. The mining station was old and nearly broken, hidden deep inside the nebula's thickest cloud. Metal pieces floated nearby like space debris. The ship slipped into the station's shadow and powered down its lights and engines. "Silent mode active," Riley said. "We're invisible. For now." Everyone waited in silence. Outside, the Traskon ships flew past, scanning the area. Drek narrowed his eyes. "Where did they go?" "They vanished," his officer said. "No signal, no heat." "Keep searching," Drek growled. "They're here somewhere." But after a long time, the Traskon ships turned and flew away, unable to find their target. Inside the cave, the crew finally breathed again. "We did it," Mira said softly. "For now," Elias replied. We're still not safe, but we have time. Later, in the quiet of the darkened ship, Soraya and Elias stood alone in the garden bay. You risked everything. Again, Soraya said. Elias looked at her. I said I'd get you to your people. I meant it. Soraya stepped closer. Her voice was soft. I've seen war. I've seen pain. But I've never seen someone care this much for a stranger. You're not a stranger anymore, Elias said. Soraya looked into his eyes. I owe you more than my life. I owe you my heart. For a moment, they said nothing. The stars outside glowed softly. A calm settled between them, deep, quiet, and warm, and then Soraya spoke again. Let's reach my people. Together, the horizon's reach floated gently out of the silver mist, its surface still scarred from the storm and chase. The lights inside turned back to their normal blue glow, a sign that danger was behind them, at least for now. Captain Elias Mercer stood at the front of the bridge, eyes fixed on the view ahead. Beside him, Soraya watched silently, her hands folded tightly. Ahead of them, hidden behind a shattered moon, lay the secret colony of the Eorian people, the last free home of her kind. There it is, Riley said, pointing to the screen. We found them. Soraya took a breath. After all this time, Elias glanced at her. Ready to go home? She nodded slowly. Yes, but it won't be easy. My people have lived in fear for too long. Then it's time they saw someone who gives them hope, Elias replied. As the ship approached, two small Eorian guard crafts rose from the surface of the hidden moon. They flew fast, shields up and weapons ready. This is Horizon's Reach requesting permission to land, Riley said calmly. A voice came through the radio. Identify yourselves. Soraya stepped forward. This is Princess Soraya Velthani. I live. I return home. The silence that followed was heavy. Then the voice came back softer and shocked. Permission granted. Welcome home, my princess. The guards guided the ship toward a landing platform hidden within a large canyon. Around them, the colony came into view, glowing towers made of crystalline stone, powered by what little energy they could find. The buildings were old and damaged, but still standing. As the ship touched down, a group of Eorians waited at the base of the platform. Among them stood General Virel, her silver hair flowing down her back and a long staff in her hand. When Soraya stepped off the ship, the people gasped. Some whispered. Others fell to their knees. It is her, someone said. The matriarch's daughter. She survived. General Virel stepped forward and placed her hand on her chest. Princess, we feared you were lost forever. Soraya placed her own hand over her heart and bowed. I have returned, and I did not come alone. She turned to Elias, who stood a few steps behind her. This is Captain Elias Mercer of Earth, a human. He saved me. He risked his life for me, and he now stands with us. There was silence for a moment. Then the general nodded. Then he is welcome among us. Inside the central hall of the colony, a meeting was held. Soraya stood at the front, dressed now in Eorian robes of deep blue and silver. She looked like a leader again, calm, strong, and ready. The elders sat around her, their eyes filled with questions. Soraya spoke clearly. We can no longer hide. The Trascon believe we are weak, but we are not. We have survived, and now, with new friends, we can rise again. The room murmured. An elder stood. But how? We have no ships, no army. Soraya raised her hand. We have unity, and we have allies. Humans have faced war before. They learned, they fought, and they rose. We can too. Elias stood beside her. The Trascon fear your voice, princess, that's why they hunted you, but together we can send a message. Your people will not vanish. General Virel stood. Then let us begin. We will train again. We will rebuild. And if the Trascon come, we will be ready. Over the next few days, the colony began to change. Old weapons were repaired. Ships were uncovered from dusty caves. Young Aeorians trained with human crew members, learning how to fight and fly. Soraya walked among her people, giving them hope. She visited the injured, spoke to the children, and met the families who had suffered. Every person she met gave her more strength. One evening, she found Elias standing on a balcony looking out at the glowing canyon. "It's beautiful here," he said softly. She stood beside him. "It could be again, once the fear is gone." He looked at her. "You gave them hope, Soraya, just by returning." She smiled. "And you gave it to me, when I had none left." Quiet moment passed between them. The wind moved gently, and the stars above shimmered like fireflies. "Elias," she said, "if we survive this, if we win this fight, would you stay?" He looked into her eyes, then nodded. "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." But far away, in the dark of space, the Trascon fleet was gathering. Commander Drek stood at the center of a massive war room. "We found them," one of his officers said. "The colony is hidden behind the moon. The human ship is there too." Drek's eyes burned with anger. "Then we attack at dawn. No mercy. No escape." The final battle was coming. The sky above the Aeorian colony turned red as warning lights filled the air. The ground shook lightly underfoot. The Trascon fleet had arrived. From the canyon walls to the towers above, the people of the colony prepared for battle. Soldiers took their positions. Engineers powered up defense systems, and ships were launched into the air. In the command center, Captain Elias Mercer stood with Soraya, General Varel, and the human crew. They looked at the large screen that showed the enemy fleet approaching like a black wave. 10 ships, Riley said. All war class, heavier weapons, stronger shields. Elias turned to Soraya. "It's time." She nodded. "We fight for our future." Outside, the Horizon's Reach took off, leading a small group of fighters, half human, half Aeorian. Mira and Riley manned the ship with Elias as captain. Soraya remained on the ground, helping to command the defense from the central tower. "Deflector shields are up," said an Aeorian officer. "Outer turrets ready." General Varel stood, tall beside Soraya. "No matter what happens, you've brought us back to life." Soraya smiled softly. "We're not done yet." In space, the battle began. The first blasts of plasma hit the shields of the Aeorian fighters. The Horizon's Reach dodged between shots, returning fire with careful aim. One Trascon ship exploded, sending metal pieces flying through space. "Nice shot," Mira shouted. "Keep moving," Elias ordered. "Don't let them surround us," Riley called from the console. "2 more coming from the left." Elias turned the ship sharply, avoiding a direct hit. Lights flickered for a moment, but the engines kept running. Back on the ground, Soraya watched the battle unfold. Her people were fighting with courage, holding the enemy back for as long as they could. "We've lost contact with the west wall," someone reported. Soraya picked up the radio. "Reinforcements to the west. Now." Down in the lower canyon, Trascon soldiers had landed. They marched with heavy boots and glowing weapons, but the Aeorians met them with shields and blades of light. The fight was brutal, but the Aeorians held their ground. In space, Commander Drek stood on the bridge of his main ship. "They resist well," he said, "but not for long. Focus all fire on the Horizon's Reach." The enemy ships turned their attention toward Elias's ship. "They're targeting us," Riley shouted. Elias looked ahead, calm and focused. "We'll give them a reason to regret it." He pulled the ship upward, diving between enemy vessels and firing a powerful energy beam from the front cannon. One more Trascon ship burst into flames, but the Horizon's Reach shook violently as another enemy shot struck its side. "We're hit!" Mira yelled. "Shield down to 30%. "Hold together," Elias said. "We're almost through this." Suddenly, a voice came through the radio. "This is Firewing Squadron," said an Aeorian pilot. "We're here to help." More ships appeared. From behind the moon, Aeorian fighters that had been hidden for years, waiting for a moment like this. With their help, The tide of battle began to change. On the ground, Soraya received the news. "They returned," she said, a tear forming in her eye. "Our people still believe." The Horizon's Reach flew beside the new fighters, striking at the Trascon fleet with full force. One by one, the enemy ships began to fall. On the bridge of the enemy flagship, Commander Drek snarled. "They are stronger than expected." His officer turned to him. "We must retreat," Drek roared. "No, I will not run." But it was too late. A final blast from the Aeorian main cannon struck Drek's ship. It exploded in a wave of light, and with it, the Trascon fleet broke apart. The remaining ships fled into the dark. The battle was over. The Horizon's Reach landed safely back on the canyon floor, damaged but alive. Elias stepped out, tired but smiling. Soraya ran to him, her eyes full of emotion. "You did it," she said, breathless. "We did it," Elias replied. People gathered around them, cheering. For the first time in many years, the Aeorians felt free. Soraya looked up at the sky. "The stars feel different now, brighter." Elias looked at her. "What happens now?" Soraya smiled. "We rebuild. We grow. Together." She took his hand in hers. "You came into my life as a stranger. Now you are my hope. And my heart." He squeezed her hand gently. "I'm not leaving." Weeks later, the colony had changed. Homes were repaired, new gardens planted. Aeorians and humans worked side by side. In the main hall, Soraya stood before her people. Beside her stood Elias, wearing a dark blue coat gifted by the Aeorians. "Our future is ours again," she said, "and it begins with unity." Cheers filled the air.